Hi, I'm Julie Hiert, and with me as always is Kate Fago, and this is Making Light, Two Humans Being. Today we're going to talk about synchronicity and the signs, and that song just started popping in my head, signs, signs everywhere. Sign. Anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about that and how much synchronicity and signs have been playing into our lives of late. The more we talk about it, the more we discover, and we just kind of go down different paths, as always. So we hope you'll enjoy this week's conversation on synchronicity and signs. And if you like the conversation, please subscribe so that others can find us. Leave any comments or feedbacks as you can, either on Facebook and Instagram as well, and enjoy the show.
So Julie, where do we start? You've bought a house.
Bought a house, bought a new house.
A beautiful new house.
Thank you. Oh yeah, so it's so interesting to me because we've had our clarifying moments of what, particularly for me, I did not want. What when we got to the UP of Michigan, did not care for it. Understood that I had manifested what I had, but didn't care for it. But just like, I would have changed a couple things, like, spiders.
Really, Julie, out of everything that happens here, this is spiders. You do know that your spiders will follow you unless you sort that out. No, I'm joking. There's no spiders.
Yeah, they're not here in my parents' house, which is where I am. They're not here.
I can't remember, what were the spiders teaching you? To find your voice? What were they teaching you?
They were teaching me to find my voice. They were teaching me to write more, because a friend of ours from our school sent me a deeper meaning, and it also had to do with writing more. And so was writing more, and then I kind of had to stop for just a little bit, just as we are in the shuffle again. But it's also about relying on the network of people that we have. Yeah, but I think like, and it was also like this, the one day that I was like, why do they keep, because I kept doing, like, I would get the message and I would do it, and then there's, then another big one would crawl in my bedroom wall or whatever. And I'm just like, So I kept saying, and one time after the bedroom wall one, it was more like, own the space, like stop going small.
Yes, that's what I remember. Yeah.
So I was, and that really helped, as well as another colleague of ours told me about using peppermint essential oil and making a little spray out of it. So I would spray every night, and that really helped too.
There's also something to do with Conkers. My sister-in-law hates spiders, and she leaves Conkers, chestnut Conkers.
Oh, I don't know what
those are. All the weak corners, so that Conkers are you know what Conkers are?
No.
If you Google Conkers, I'm pretty sure it's the chestnut nut. Maybe when it's still in the spiky little round, basically like a little round shiny nut.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they exude an oil, but she has them in all the corners of her stairs on the way up. Like, it might be an old wives' tale, don't know, but they're quite a nice way to, because they're pretty, if you like that sort of thing, as long as you don't fall on them like a marble and break your neck.
Right. Well, there's that aspect. Yeah. The peppermint spray just left the house smelling nice and bright.
But you know what's interesting?
Yeah.
So I could tell just, I love older houses. I don't remember if you sent me a schedule for the house that you're in, not obviously that house because you're at your mum's now, mum and dad's, but the house that you moved into. I can't remember if you sent, but as soon as you sent me the schedule for this new house, I could see, it just felt light. Okay, because it's pretty, but I don't think you're going to have any trouble owning that space, is what I'm saying. Is you had to go through this, moving into a house against your better judgment, trying to, if you don't mind me saying, put a brave face on it all.
Right. Because, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here we are. Let's get on with it, even though your soul was dying because it's not what you wanted, and you didn't want to get forced into it. You're a little bit resentful, but things happen and you went along with it. I don't think you're going to have any trouble stepping into your space in this, because you played a part in this, didn't you? I bet. Do you equally love it?
Say what?
Do you equally love it, or were you just like, that's my house, I'm having it?
It was that, like, I walked, so my sister, I want to say my sister found it. So my sister's a realtor in this area. So I want to say she found it, and she was like, oh my gosh, look at this, this is you, this is you, this is you.
Yeah, but she found it because of you.
Well, exactly. Yeah, she was looking
Yeah.
for us. Yeah.
Yeah, and no, but that's how we found
Right.
this house. You orchestrated that. Otherwise, she would have.
No. Well, so I'll tell you, the first time I walked into it was just with her. And the moment I walked in, I knew this is the one. Um, she was funny because she's such a good realtor. She was trying to find, for her, it's small. She doesn't live the same way I live. So she went into it trying to figure out where all the bad things were so that she could say, nope, not good. She left that day absolutely loving it and going, this is the one you need. But she told me that we were the first people to see it, I think. I'm pretty sure we were the first people to see it. And she said, this is going to be really hard to get because it's so competitive. There's nothing in this lower price. It's a lower price point. Everything's like in the, high 300s to 500, whatever. And that's just way out of my price range. And so she was saying, this is just going to be really hard to get. And I'm like, that's okay. And I kept saying, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. So
See?
we got together on Thursday. Then we made another appointment to have Brad come through on Friday. By the time she got home on Thursday to make the appointment for Friday, the whole calendar was booked up except for one 15-minute appointment, which she grabbed. We took Brad through it. Brad was like, yes, I really like it too. And then we just went, and then Sunday, so all weekend, 2 weekends in a row, the weekend before and the weekend after, we looked at all these other houses because my sister was like, we should have a backup plan. We should have a backup plan. I didn't like any of them. I mean, there were a couple that were like, okay, but I was right back in the same boat. So I'm like, no, this is the one. So we sat down on Sunday, had a whole spreadsheet. I figured out like how far we could go with the pricing. And I actually had my guides with me. I didn't tell my sister or Brad this, but I had my guides.
You didn't sit there and say, well, hold on a minute, I'm just asking Aaron how much we should offer for the house.
No, I mean, they would sit and talk amongst themselves, and then I was just kind of playing with the numbers. And the minute I went higher than what we ended up having to buy it for. I went a little bit, and my guides went, like, I could just feel it. They went, no, don't need it. Stop here. This is where you stop. And I thought, oh, I'm stopping here because I don't want to go out of my price range, even though I could afford much more, but I just felt like, no, stop. So we put the whole offer together. And I just before I left my sister, because Brenda was like, well, she was trying to manage our expectations and bring it down. And I said, no, we're going to do law of attraction right now. We're going to believe that we own it. We are going to feel how great it feels to be in that house. There's this whole nature preserve that's right next to it. We're going to feel what it's like to walk Lucas in there every single day. We just feel really good. And I did this whole thing with both Brad and my sister. And I said, and so you are not to get out of that feeling. You need to stay. We own this. We own this. We own this. And we're so grateful that we own this. Right. So I felt that. And then I said, okay, now let go. And no one's to think about this again. We've asked the universe. That's what we're going to do. And we will let it go. So that was Sunday. All the bids were due Monday at noon. And we had said we needed to hear by Monday at 8 p.m. At 1:30, I think, somewhere around there, she calls me and she's screaming, we got it. We outbid 32 people for this house. And we got it. And I said, okay, universe, duly noted. It works. Yeah, I mean,
the whole energy, if you think about it though, this is exactly what they say, isn't it? It was easy. It was all just easy. There's no appointments. Oh, little 15-minute one. Oh, your sister just managed to get it. Oh, could have been really close. Oh, but it all worked out. Yeah, it's fucking amazing. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Very much a lesson. Very much a lesson in all of the things we've talked about. Just believe.
You look different, Julie. You look different.
Do I?
Yeah, maybe it's just the light, but it's like, I've seen you go, and it hasn't been that long you've been in that house.
No, 6 months.
But it's been a journey for you. It should have been fun, and it really wasn't, was it?
No, it was interesting too when we first got, so this is the second week I'm at my parents' house. So last week I got here on Friday, and
you moved, or are you just staying to be near the area?
Staying here. We have to go back up to get our things in the middle of next week, and then will be down here and staying in my parents' house for a couple of months because they need to, it's another story, but that's okay.
Yeah.
They, but the first 3 or 4 nights, it was, I slept so deeply, like I hadn't been sleeping in the Chassel house because I was the spiders and I had let, just all that, and I just didn't feel comfortable. But I got here and I just, I swear it took 3 different nights and I just absolutely crashed. It's like, and I kept hearing like PTSD, like it's just like and I'm not trying to claim, because there are people suffering from major PTSD and this isn't that, but it's just like there was a little bit of, also the grief still for Alaska is still there, right? So there's just, it's starting to, a new chapter, new day, here we go. So, which is also, I'm reading in alignment with where we are in the ascension, like these last couple months of the year, this ascension is going to be really, really high. So October is about getting you in the right place for where you need to be so that you can tackle this last little bit as we all ascend higher, humanity. Yeah. We'll see.
Okay.
Some interesting shows coming up. I'm just saying.
Shows.
Of ours. Making light shows. Yeah.
Am I going to have to read up on Ascension?
No, it's a horoscope thing. Just watch your horoscope. That's all. That's all I do.
I did briefly, because my you know how stuff falls into your inbox and you get caught up in stuff. And there was one guy I was quite interested in listening to his podcast meditations, and I think I found him on Insight Time. I can't remember his name, but he does it's like the Church of Christ, but like not Christian. It's a spiritual church of Christ in London or something, and he does a lot of these ascension meditations and stuff, and astral. And I started reading up, and I was like, do you know what, fascinating, but it's just not. It's not of interest to me right now because it's quite complicated. It's quite technical as well. And there's a bit of me that goes, do you know what? If it's going to work, it'll show up. I don't need to understand the astrological or the physics behind it all. I can actually just trust that it's like with angels and Reiki and stuff like that. Yes, I understand it all. But I tell you what was a moment of understanding for me, and I think it was with Maria, we were talking about angels and stuff like that, and I was doing muscle testing and that, and we were asking who our angels were. And one of them is, I think it was Michael, like just, and you're like, well, fuck man, if I can get like Archangel Michael, it's like I'm up there with the big guys. We're all the same here. And that was a real moment for me, realizing that, having Jesus as an angel is not impossible. It just so happens whoever's there to help you out. There is no hierarchy here. I don't need to understand ascension. I don't need to bow and scrape and perform, that they're all there, and whoever is assigned to me or whoever I call, or they're all there, all of them. Yeah. That's just a great feeling, isn't it? I don't even really know who Archangel Michael is, but people talk about him a lot.
Yes, they do. I don't know who he is either. I know that I know that there are angels around, but I don't know all of that. I don't know hardly any of them. I don't even know what all they stand for. I know Metrodon, like when I feel like I'm running late or I'm going to be late somewhere, I know to say, okay, Archangel Metrodon. I'm sorry, I'm messing up your name. He's like, I don't care. I just ask him like, okay, I have enough time, don't I? And they say that if you ask him, he will expand time for you so that you can finish doing what you're doing or whatever. So I do that a lot.
I need to write that down. What's his name?
Metrodon. We'll put it in the show notes when we learn his real name.
So yeah, I mean, the ones I know really are from when Reiki, you ask, when you bring down a platinum net, again, I don't know what that means. Platinum net is Melchizedek, which I love that name. Metronom. Is that him? Melchizedek, metronome. Oh, see, Nak, I know this by rote. I say this every night, and now I'm on the spot. I can't think of it. I always say, when I start my Reiki, I say, oh God, my God, it's gone. Maybe I'm not supposed to share it. Not because it's a secret, but because maybe it's not important. But there's Melchizedek, metronome, the Mahatma, and somebody else. And then Archangel Michael is the angel I ask to, I can't cement the healing into this physical realm. See, I can't even think of the words. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They're all available to all of us at all times.
Yeah. He's not showing up on my Google search right now.
Melchizedek.
Say what?
Melchizedek. Or
No, Metatron. I just looked up Archangel names and he doesn't list. So
he might not be an archangel.
Okay.
There are, I don't know. Or maybe we're gonna get hundreds of people writing in who know all this. We don't know. Okay, Google it.
Yeah. Let us know.
We are not experts.
No.
And there's absolutely no disrespect intended to anybody if we've got it all wrong. Our point is simply that these powers are available to all of us.
Exactly. Yeah. Because yes, I mean, I can tell when how do I say this? Like when I meditate or I ask for help or guidance, I can tell if it's my guide. Like I have guides, there are angels. I just don't know enough about them all yet, which they're like, that's okay, it's not time yet. And then I have ascended masters that help me. I have to move, I can tell because the sunlight's coming. Ascended masters, and I can tell which one. And to me, when I see which one is there, it means that helps me understand what it is I'm working on and where they're going to help me, because each one has a different, for me, other people have different ways of doing it, but for me, each one has a different piece of pie that they bring to the table. And then, and so I like it. It's like if I'm doing a session with somebody and my guide Eduardo is there, that means we're going to start exploring and have an adventure. If I have another guide named Dorothea who's all about helping people let go, me in particular. Saint Francis is an ascended master that works with me, and that usually means it has something to do with connecting to nature and mysticism. So I just have different.
Wow. See, I don't know the difference really.
No.
However, that does bring me to something else that we have talked about on and off, and it's come up again for me. Was it you that sent me stuff about Lee Harris?
Yeah, maybe at some point I followed him
a while back. Yeah. Channeling. We've got to do it, Julie. We've got to do it.
Yeah, we should try. You know what? That's so interesting you say that, Kate, because I was thinking about that this week too. Because and I was thinking, oh, see, Kate was right. We really do need to do that. Because I watched him, he channeled the other day and I was watching his channel. And then of course, Abraham Hicks. And then I just feel like that's what we do to some degree anyway.
Because, I mean, I'll be brutally honest. I know that channeling is, so whether it's by raising your vibration, you're able to channel, or whether it's by channeling, you raise your vibration or whatever, it doesn't matter. But I know it will get me there. And that's something I want to do. I'm not even sure if I think it's the ultimate in letting go. I think it's the ultimate in trust, which is why I think I'm drawn to it, because I'm challenging myself to trust, because we all know how I struggle with that. And I go up and down, and I had a lovely reading this morning. I haven't really done any readings for a long time, but it was a lady in Indonesia, and she had contacted me a couple of weeks ago because she couldn't obviously fit the time zones around what was on my website, and she'd just lost her cat. Ironically, I hope she watches this or not, but Danielle had said to us before to leave a 2-week period. So I'd said, look, I'm really sorry, but I think you should wait 2 weeks. I said, it's entirely up to you, but that's what we recommend, just to make sure there's not grief and that your pet might be busy. And yet Danielle said only a week ago or something I was watching, she said that she doesn't think that anymore, because the whole of consciousness has moved up. So people tend to either they recover quicker, or whatever it is animals have to do when they first cross over has got less. So she doesn't put that 2-week time on it anymore. And I thought, well, I'm not going to get back to the woman. It was the day before. And I thought, I can't just ring her up and say, well, actually, we could have done this a week ago, because she was so desperate for the reading. But it was lovely. It was just, I just had waves and waves and waves of goosebumps and that. It's really nice when that happens. To be clear, we should actually explain that. It was just that in earlier teachings from Danielle, she had said to leave a couple of weeks because people grieve, and it's quite difficult to get through that grief to be able to. I think it's more that it's difficult for us to read the person because they're grieving, and also I'm not really sure. Anyway, there's grief there,
Yeah.
but also that animals go to what she calls spirit school, where they're learning to adapt.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite a sort of strange concept, but I know that when I spoke to Twiggy, she was quite adamant about her. I mean, I might have been putting words in her mouth, but she was agreeing to it.
Yeah. And
She
it
was
could
off.
be too, you know, different. I feel like animals have soul levels too, or soul ages too. And I feel like the ones that have gone, this isn't their first rodeo, like it's not that big of a deal. I just
Yeah,
actually
maybe.
had that with somebody, with an animal, but I had that with an animal earlier this week, that this going back and forth wasn't a big deal to them. Anyway.
And but she had mentioned recently, and I don't know if it was literally last week, she'd mentioned that she felt that time period had compressed quite a lot, simply because consciousness in general has gone up, which is good news.
So two things about synchronicity is one, that you had a woman from Indonesia. So I had somebody Facebook message me via, and it looked like they were from Southeast Asia as well. And they were asking me, they just were asking me if I was an animal communicator, and I responded, but at this point, I don't think anything more has come through. In the meantime, our lost pet thing this morning blew up because one of our colleagues has gotten a couple of emails now from different places in Southeast Asia. So this is interesting to me. The other synchronicity was that I had a client of mine contact me, and it's almost 2 weeks now ago. She was out of town, and her husband had rushed one of their dogs to the vet, and the spleen had ruptured. Come to find out, there was a big tumor mass in it as well. And they first they thought they had to put her down, and so the client calls me, and she's just beside herself, understandably, because she's not there with her dog, her beloved dog. And but she wanted to know if the dog was ready to go, and she was, and she chose to go this way just because of all variety of things. And but she was ready to go. But it was, so I was talking with the dog as as the procedure to allow the dog to pass was starting to take place, as they were prepping her and all that. And I just held space for her and had conversation. I just felt so much gratitude from this dog for her owners, who had adopted her at a later stage in life and had really given her a really nice home and a brother. But it just was it was so beautiful. The whole reading was so beautiful. And at one point, as the doctor was getting ready, the vet was getting ready to put the final injection in, the dog was just like, okay, I need to put my energy into passing. So I just felt like my guides even just kind of gently pulled me back and just said, just hold space for her. And so I told the client too, I'm like, I'm just holding space for her. By then
You're on the phone with her when
it was at first it was phone, and then it moved to text, because she was just so, and like spans of time would kind of go by because the vet was busy, and it was like an emergency vet situation, so it was after hours. But then it went, as the crossing began, my guides and even the animals said, I'm just going to focus my energy here. But my guides actually kind of pulled me back a little bit and said, let's just hold space. And so we were just really quiet, and Lucas was curled up with me, and it was so beautiful. It was just, absolutely sad, right? However, for me, the beauty in first, just the honor to be there was amazing. And then just the peacefulness and the absolute gratitude and the serenity and it's just so wonderful, absolutely beautiful. It was amazing. So it's interesting to me that you had a beautiful reading with a woman whose animal has passed. Oh, and the human, well, of course, right away was like, let me pay you. And I'm like, we're not talking about that right now. This is way too beautiful. But the dog just came and said, no, just have a regular session and we'll talk, and I'll follow up with what's gone on. So anyways, but she hasn't booked it yet, which is fine. She needs her time. I'm like, not in a rush. You do you.
Oh,
it was absolutely amazing. So yeah.
cry now.
I know.
I'll just mute myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was another little lesson too, though, as I think about it, is just the time to go quiet and just be in that moment. um I think was just so key. Instead of, there's nothing more to do, that's all that's needed to be done, is just to be quiet and in the moment. To do anything more is just, you miss the point, I think. So yeah, my thought. So what else is going on, Kate?
I started rereading Pam Grout, who I keep looking around as if my books should be around me and they never are. E equals MC squared, I think it's called, and it's basically have you read any of Pam Grout?
No, but I think our book club has brought her up a couple times.
I think they might have done. So it was it might have been me. It's experiments to show that the universe is listening to you. And so it's very down to earth. It's quite funny. I like the language. It's very light about it. So she's very practical about it, but it's also about practical experiments that you can do. Unfortunately, I don't have a wire coat hanger to do my next experiment. But it's just that it's just when you start looking and noticing synchronicities, how they happen, you start to get really blown away by it, don't you? And then I find I just as easily forget all of it and I get stuck in some rut somewhere. I've been quite irritable lately. Just suddenly out of nowhere, I'm just, oh, for fuck's sake, like, but that's fine. I'm just finding it a lot easier to be easy on myself, I think.
That's so interesting that you bring that up. So this is another synchronicity. So I'm TAing a class right now for our teacher, and one of the students made a comment. So when we have class with our teacher, we always have a private Facebook group so that the students can all interact, and then the TAs can help comment and whatnot as they grow and evolve. And someone said, so is it just me, or as we move forward, like our intuitive abilities continue to open up and we begin to see even more, and we see more, we can see it faster, we can see it in a lot, like even more complexity and simplicity at the same time. And our teacher and myself and the other TA were like, yeah, this is how it works. And I even said, oh yeah, synchronicity and all the signs, it's amazing. So it's funny that you brought that up, when there's lots of people that are just like, oh, look, there's another sign. Look, there's another sign. So talk about signs. I'm going to come back to the house. So when my sister and I went to go see this house the very first time, a block away from it, as we're driving, there's a party store, like a liquor store off to the left, called Charlie's. My sister, her second child was stillborn, and she carried him full term, and he died before he was born. The terminology doesn't even begin to express anyway, but she named him Charlie. And so as we're driving, I'm like, oh, look, there's a sign right there. Charlie's I always say he's one of our guardian angels. Anyways, he's right there. I'm like, oh, look. And then, so we look at the house. I love the house, whatever. She goes back into the records of the house and who owned them, because of being a realtor, she has access to it. And one of the previous owners' name, or the owner before the current owner, her name was Whitney. And that was one of my sister's dogs. That was just this amazing Zen Buddha of a dog, a big, huge Great Dane lab mix. Whitney, we love Whitney. We still talk about Whitney. So that was another sign. Another sign was, as I went to go see the house for the second time, an eagle flew overhead. There's not a whole lot of eagles where I am right now, as there were in Alaska or even in the UP. So I'm like, whoa, that's really cool. And I don't know, there was just like all these little, there were some other ones that popped up, but I'm just like, that was like another little from the universe going, don't worry, we got you. We got you. So talk about signs. Yeah.
So you know that I'm one of my, it's not that I don't trust, well, it fits. I don't trust that I need something mashed into my head before I believe it, which actually came up with my reading this morning. The cat was telling the owner, I know you can feel me, you just don't believe it. And she's like, yeah. So the first experiment that Pat talks about is you're supposed to send a sign out to the universe, but she says you need to be really explicit and you need to put a time limit on it, and it needs to be something you ask the universe to show you unambiguously, and there's another word, but like, so that you can't be mistaken for something else, a really definite sign that it's listening to you, and then you give it 48 hours. So I put it in my diary, 48 hours, and then there's a bit of me, because I have started this book before and done the first 2 experiments. I was like, do you know, I think that's like is it Christian guilt? I was like, how dare I test it? Like, how dare I ask the same question again? Like, you know, how you know, I don't know if is that religion or is that just my mum, but basically it feels like I'm being really disrespectful by daring to ask again. So there probably was a small element of doubt there, but I was like, no, I want to, you know, I'm a tidy person. I stopped the experiments. I want to start them again from the beginning. Let's just do this. So when I'd done this before, within about 36 hours, because it says give it 48 hours, within 36 hours, okay, so a bit of me was worried in that I don't go out much here unless I'm going swimming. So a lot of the things that happen, synchronicity while you're out, whether don't happen, it has to be something that comes to the house, essentially. So I sort of think, you know, is it going to be too difficult because I don't have enough of a varied opportunity for things to come up for me. But the last time I did this, about 36 hours, I got a phone call from our oil company. So we have oil tanks. That's the fuel here for heating. And they said, you've got a credit of £1,000 in your, because I realize what it is now. I don't know why I'm explaining this to you, but it was a new house, didn't know how much oil was going to be. So we pay monthly and then you just get a delivery as you need it. But you're talking 500 litres, 1,000 litres, sorry. So it's a big delivery at the time. And I didn't know what the house is like, how quickly we're going. And the one thing I never want to do is run out of oil. And also we're up a farm road. If it, you know, it is potentially, we could get snowed in. So you don't want to run out of oil ever. So I was being optimistic, overly generous, wanted to make sure we were putting enough money aside for it. And then when I built this room that I'm in now, I was like, our heating bills are going to increase because it's a much bigger space now. But what I didn't realize, of course, is this isn't on oil because moving oil radiators would have been too difficult. So actually this is all on electric. So our electric bills have gone through the roof, but the oil hasn't changed. But I had increased the standing order to cover the addition. Anyway, so but I have never in my entire life had a utility company that phoned me up and told me that I was in credit by over £1,000 and did I want the money back? And I was like, oh my God, if ever there was a sign, that was it. Oh my God, I've just realized. I'll come to that. Right, so that was it before. So this time I'm like, but I've just realized they just phoned me again. Same thing. She said it's £2,000 now because I didn't do anything about it. I forgot about it. So they're going to give me £1,000 back or £1,500 back or something like that. But I've just, when did that happen? Maybe because when it happened the second time, the second time I did this experiment, I was like, nothing happened, and then nothing happened. So it was just past the 48 hours. And I'm trying to think now, when she phoned me, I might have to look on my phone. I would have known if it had been that, because she did phone me again. Like, what are the chances of that? That conversation literally happened in the last week. But so 48 hours had passed. I was driving to go swimming, and I knew that the second experiment is about, you know, you think of something like cars. It's like if you really want a Mercedes, suddenly you see Mercedes everywhere. It's that sort of thing. It's just a lot of her point. She does a lot of explaining how this happens, and she says that our brain only processes something like 1/2 of 1/1,000,000th of the information that we are exposed to. Like it just can't. So we don't realize how much of a bias, and that's what causes the law of attraction stuff, is your bias towards what you want, what you're expecting to see, because you can't see everything. There's so much going on. That's like a really mind-blowing. But so I knew the second experiment is things like you are asked for a particular color of car, obviously not a common one. And when I had done this before, I had asked for yellow cars and I hadn't seen any all the way to and then suddenly I saw like literally 3 just like that, like really unusual yellow cars. So as I was driving to swimming, I was sort of like, okay, so I didn't get my sign from the universe, but instead of that, I want to see a purple car. right? Like purple. It has to be purple, not bluey purple, purple. And I had in my head, like probably like that, but metallic. So, and my drive's about 45 minutes to where I go swimming. So I drove all the way, nothing. Lots of really dark blue cars. And it's like really bright blue. And it's not purple, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. Literally, as I got to the road that turns to the beach, purple car parked on the corner there. So I was just like, and then of course, like, this is how stupid human brain. Then I go, okay, so I know that works, but is that the sign from the universe? Because I know this is experiment 2, not experiment 1. So then I'm getting all up in my head about, you know, it's not the real, is it? And then muscle testing going, is that the sign then? Or is that a sign? So on the way back from the beach, I'm like, right, fuck this, right, let's clear this up once and for all. I need yellow. I need to see a yellow car, because it's quite unusual to see yellow cars here. As I come up the hill to Hell Beath, which is before I get on the motorway, there must have been 6, 7, 8 of these big fuck off cranes, all bright yellow. And then I'm like, but it's a crane, it's not a car, it's a crane. And you know, this is what it's like to live with me. And then this is it. I want to call it brick yellow, but it's not brick yellow, but you know what I mean? Like the really vibrant yellow. Color of a tractor, that sort of yellow. So I'll go, no, it needs to be, you see, it's everywhere now. It needs to be a yellow. So then I actually saw that yellow car at the roundabout, and I'm like, fuck's sake, Kate. And then I can't remember if it's on the same journey. So this is me manifesting in less than 45 minutes. I don't think that's bad, is it? Then as I'm coming back, I'm going, okay, so we're back to, so we've done the cars, we've done that, you know, we've done, I know all that works. We're still haven't really got my original sign. I haven't really had that original sign. So I'm okay, let's go for rainbows. And then I'm driving up the farm road. There was a rainbow, you know, when you could actually see both ends of the rainbow. And one end was actually in the field. You know how it always tends to be over the hill or whatever. The end of the rainbow, I could have got out and touched it. It was like there. And then there was a second rainbow just appearing above it. And I'm still like, that's not really what I asked for, is it? What is wrong with me, Julie? And now I'm thinking, actually, I think that woman, I'm going to look up on my phone when that woman phoned me about my £2,000 credit. Maybe what's wrong with me?
Well, okay, so there's nothing wrong with you. So let's say it's so interesting that you say that question, what is wrong with me? Because last night when I was walking Lucas, I was thinking about me beating myself up because I'm not divine enough. And
oh my God,
I got this little like
slap,
you know, going, hello, you're having a human experience. You're the divine having a human experience. So be human and enjoy that ride. And I think Matt Kahn has even said that lately, like fully embrace the human that you are, because that's why you're here. So
Abraham says, yeah.
So even like to me, like it just kind of shifts it just a little bit, because I'm studying mysticism, and I'm reading the Finding the Mother Tree book, which is, I hope you like it. I'm loving it. I had my dad watch my octopus teacher last night. And
oh no, did he cry? Did he cry? Did everyone cry?
I didn't ask him. I have to, he left early this morning.
We should put that in the notes just because it's fucking brilliant.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
It is sad, but it's beautifully sad. It's not.
You know, it's not. I told him, he wanted to know how I knew about this movie. And I said, well, my whole communication community, he knows, he's so supportive. It's actually pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, see, okay, there's a whole nother story there. We'll come back to that. Anyway, he asked me how I found out about it. And I said, oh my, this whole community that we're a part of, none of us can watch movies or anything where the animals die. However, this one is lovely because it's just it's wonderful. So anyway, so I'll have to ask my thought of it. Okay, wait, so now where did I start on that whole thing? It was,
human having a divine experience.
Oh yeah, so okay, yes. So I'm studying all this stuff and thinking, okay, so I take it on my shoulders, right? That it's like, okay, I'm here. I chose this lifetime to help elevate, to help move people forward, to help humanity move forward. I'm the divine having a human experience. So I kept been thinking I have to be divine. And then last night I was reminded, no, Dingleberry, you are a human being. You're the divine.
I have so much to say about that.
Say what?
I have so much to say about that.
Oh, good, 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 good. Yeah, so I'll just finish. So I'm having a human experience, and that is what I have to write about, the human experience, not so much of trying to, oh, look, let's get there. It's more about, we'll get there, but through this. So it just shifts it just a little bit for me. And I was just like, well, yeah, it's so interesting how we hear these things. And then at one time, it's just like, oh, that little bit just sunk in. Oh, that little bit just sunk in. It's fascinating.
This is what I love about Abraham Hicks, is that it's all about joy. It's not about making yourself a better person. It's not about communing with this and the other. And they all say, yeah, you can meditate all day, you can find that bliss, but that's not why you're here. You'd have stayed there if that's what you wanted. You chose to come here. You chose to face the conflict. You chose to experience this. So anything you can do to ease your suffering on earth, brilliant, fine, bring it on. But it's not a vocation in itself. That's Aaron. It's not your job is not to get there. Your job is just to ease the rest of what you're doing while you're here. And I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. As this somehow, I don't know how, I must have at one time subscribed to an app or something for by Sam Harris, who I believe is agnostic or an atheist, one of the two. And he has a whole meditation practice called Waking Up. And somehow, synchronicity, I know this is synchronicity, he sends me an email saying he's completely revamped. I haven't paid attention to him or any of his stuff for the longest time. I mean, years. And I have like Insight Timer and stuff, but I've never really played with it because it's so, for me, like to go in and then pick which one.
Oh, I just use the timer for meditating, and I just get irritated because they've moved all the buttons. So when you go to just cancel it, it brings up all these teachers. You're like, I don't care.
Yeah.
There's hundreds.
Yeah. And it's overwhelming to me. And I was using this other thing that I got through an Abraham Hicks podcast, which have all disappeared for some reason. That's another thing. All the Abraham Hicks podcasts that I subscribe to have stopped. I don't know if they were like infringing on copyright. They really weren't coming from her. I don't know, but suddenly they're all gone. It's weird. Anyway, so that's another thing. So all of a sudden, out of the blue, I get this email from Sam Harris saying, hey, I've completely revamped Waking Up. It's a 7-day free trial. Check it out. It's all about meditation. And I have known for several weeks, if not months now, something needs to happen with my meditation, because the little timer that I was using, it wasn't helping. And then it stopped emailing me every day to meditate. Abraham Hicks went away, like things weren't quite, and I'm like, okay. And I felt like when I would meditate, my brain was just all over the place. So I'm like, okay. And my guides were saying, hello, come back, talk to us. Even though I feel like they're integrated, I'm still like, nope, need a little more deeper. So our teacher introduces an 11-week energy management thing. Fabulous. And then I get this served by Sam Harris. So I've been trying it, the 7-day free trial. I love it. There's this little meditation thing, and he walks you through it, and he makes it so simple and so easy. And because it's just him, and then he pulls in other teachers along the way with just conversations, it's so simplified. And I'm like, oh, I see. Okay. So I just signed up for it. So now I have a paid subscription, totally fine. But I just feel so much better too.
So that was a very itty bitty little tiny polka dot bikini conversation about signs. I don't know how much of other stuff will get mixed in there, because we did jump around a lot, but I think we'll just see. But either way, I hope you enjoyed it. So I'm Kate Foggo, that's Julie Hurt. We are making light, and if you want to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all the links are down there. So I hope to see you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.